Most horror games create fear by making you feel weak. Limited supplies, limited weaponry, limited capabilities. They trap you in the dark with monsters you can barely fight, and remind you at every moment of how powerless you really are. But what if the roles were reversed? What if instead of running from your enemies, they run from you? Despite carrying the horror tag on Steam, Trepang2 is unlike your typical horror game. You are not in any way disempowered. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You're strong, frighteningly so. The horror in this game comes not from being hunted, but from becoming the hunter. It comes from having to slaughter hundreds of men as they scream and beg for their lives. It comes from having to follow the inhumane orders of your ruthless director without question. It comes from slowly realizing that perhaps you are not the hero of the story, but rather simply a tool, a monster. The story begins in the year 2035, at a black site in the remote landscapes of Alaska, known only as Site 14. The compound is run by a megacorporation called Horizon, a company at the global forefront of many fields, such as technology, medicine, security, and most importantly, anomalous research. In the world of Trepang2, the existence of supernatural entities and phenomenon are not hidden in secrecy or myth. It's widely accepted and even studied. The anomalous sciences is a well-respected field, with many of the leading minds under the employment of Horizon. Site 14 is one of the many facilities devoted to such research, and within its walls lies an entity with anomalous properties unlike anything they've ever seen before. Subject 106. Reportedly, the subject is able to turn invisible at will, dodge bullets, and wield superhuman strength. He has been marked as extremely dangerous and must be kept restrained and masked at all times. Furthermore, no more than 2 firearms may be present around him at any given moment. Bloodwork reveals massive spikes in dopamine levels after inflicting physical trauma on guards, suggesting that the subject derives pleasure from violence. Very little is known about the subject's background, as every attempt at communication has failed. Physical, psychological, and medical interrogation techniques have all yielded no results. 106 is either incapable of speech, or has somehow been trained not to talk. Desperate to know more about him, Horizon even tried transplanting the subject's memories into other hosts, but this only resulted in death and violent outbursts. One patient who managed to survive a partial transplant uttered a single phrase before dying: "Complete the cycle." In the opening cutscene, we can see that Horizon was forcing 106 to watch a strange, almost ritualistic video of an atomic bomb going off. The video is accompanied by an eerie chant: "Erase your light, take your flight, to a place where you will be remembered, to a place where you will be loved." It's likely some kind of brainwashing, but before the process can continue any further, a masked figure in black puts a stop to it and swiftly leaves the scene. It would seem that he has infiltrated Site 14 to set us free.
Vault security, this is Echo 3. What's your status, over?
Following the bloody trail of corpses left behind by our savior, we try and find a way out of the facility. But just based on the brutalized state of the guards' bodies, it is already clear that whoever this man is, he is no ordinary individual. We ourselves are not able to properly fight at the moment due to the special titanium handcuffs Horizon has placed on us. But this is a trifling matter, because just as reported, with just a thought, Subject 106 can vanish from sight, along with anything in his possession. Crawling through the ventilation shafts, we arrive at the compound security station, which holds the keys to our shackles. Now unrestrained, 106 is able to face Horizon's soldiers head-on, and it quickly becomes apparent just how powerful he really is. He snaps bones with ease. He hurls grown men like ragdolls. and his reflexes are so heightened that it makes the world around him appear to slow down in comparison. It's no wonder Horizon was so fearful of him. 106's abilities seem far too convenient to just be a naturally occurring anomaly. They're too refined, too precise. It's almost as if he has been specially designed for killing. After slaughtering hordes of Horizon's mercenaries, we arrive at a large walk-in freezer plastered with more mutilated corpses, and among the bodies of the dead, we find our rescuer, who has seemingly taken his own life. It's odd, he was in no immediate danger, yet chose death all the same. In his hand rests a golden coin marked with the Roman numerals CV 105. The implication is clear. This man was not just our savior, he was our predecessor. But where did he come from? And what are we exactly? Fighting our way through more of Horizon's guards, we eventually arrive at an office complex above the prison. Inside, we come across an email addressed to the CEO of Horizon, discussing plans for something called the WBE project, in which they were planning to electronically emulate a human brain. However, as this project became less and less feasible due to resource constraints, they have now shifted their focus to something darker: human-to-human brain transplants. Not physically, but through rewiring and memory replacement. This is incredibly important for later, so keep it in mind. Moving past the office complex, the lights suddenly cut out, and red smoke fills the air. It's Talon, Horizon's elite Black Ops unit. Trained and equipped with cutting-edge gear, they are a step above the rank-and-file guards. Against anyone else, they would be a nightmare, but against 106, they are simply another obstacle. After making quick work of the Black Ops soldiers, we encounter something peculiar, a drone, conveniently placed in our path. Interacting with the machine, it confirms both our location and identity, and then begins accessing our memories. A data package titled Subject 105 Termination is uploaded to an unknown recipient, and shortly after, a cryptic message is left behind. The cycle begins again. Capture means you will be forced to complete your original mission. Exiting the interface, the drone has vanished without a trace, but the path forward has now opened, allowing us to proceed onwards into the final area of Site 14, the loading bay. Here, Horizon makes its last stand, throwing every soldier left in the facility at us. Wave after wave, they come and fall all the same, until the entire squadron is wiped out. Following the battle, we hear the doors to the helipad opening behind us, accompanied by the distinctive sound of rotor blades spinning. Outside, a new group of mercenaries await. They claim to be friendlies and tell us to get on board the chopper. Strangely, 106 complies without question. Whether out of instinct, resignation, or lack of alternatives, he steps aboard. As the helicopter takes off, the rest of the troops move in to secure the facility, thus marking the end of the prologue and the beginning of this dark tale. We are taken by a pilot named Raven back to the faction's hidden safe house, where we are remotely introduced to their mysterious director.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you, 106. The Horizon Corporation had you locked away for a very long time. They must be frightened now that you're free. You want vengeance. So do we. Welcome to Task Force 27.
The director doesn't give us much to go on, but I suppose it only makes sense to work with them for now. They did send 105 to rescue us, and it seems like we have a common enemy. Reportedly, Horizon's experiments have left 106 without memory of who he is, or rather, of what he is. The so-called task force seems to be familiar with him, but 106 doesn't try to inquire further, and perhaps he doesn't care to. Inside Task Force 27's base, we can gather that they certainly have a lot of resources at their disposal. Although there's something oddly unsettling about the setup. We can't directly interact with anyone. All their personnel stand behind thick, bulletproof glass. They watch us from a distance, like some sort of specimen.
Horizon's good as dead now that you're on the team.
After gearing up at their courtesy, the director wastes no time in giving us our first mission. We are to raid Horizon's end-of-life care facility, the Pandora Institute, and rescue 27's undercover agent, Dr. Emerson, who they have since lost contact with. At its surface, the Pandora Institute seems rather benign, enticing even, a high-end state-of-the-art facility where terminally ill patients can live out the rest of their lives in luxury and comfort. 5-star accommodation, entertainment, and healthcare all completely free. Seems too good to be true, doesn't it? Well, the facade quickly fades as we look a bit deeper into the institute. Before entering the facility, all guests are required to surrender their cell phones and cameras for holding. Odd, but perhaps you could chalk it up to privacy concerns. The patient consent form, however, is far less defensible. It's essentially a binding and irreversible contract that forfeits the patient's body for unspecified research and experimentation. And based on the wording, this doesn't seem like typical medical research. Even more concerning is the Institute's relentless recruitment strategy. In addition to their aggressive marketing, they are even offering hospitals large sums of money to transfer patients there. Based on what we know about Horizon, it seems unlikely that they are doing all this out the kindness of their heart. There is almost certainly something more sinister at play.
Oh shit!
Immediately upon entering Pandora's airspace, our helicopter is attacked by an anti-aircraft gun, almost as if they've been expecting us. But what kind of healthcare facility even has an AA gun in the first place? In any case, our first order of business is disabling it before Raven is blown out the sky. With the gun inactive and the perimeter cleared, Raven drops off some breach charges to aid our entry into the facility, and Task Force's Ghost team is deployed to help secure the compound. Further into the Institute, we enter an area called the Volunteer Exhibit, and it's here where our suspicions reach an all-time high. Engraved on the walls are the names of hundreds upon hundreds of patients who have died under Horizon's care, all within the past 3 years, some as young as 12. This is anything but normal. People here are dying at such a fast rate that the construction team can't build walls fast enough to accommodate for all the names. Yet among the staff and guards, there is no shame. On the contrary, their words carry conviction. They speak of protecting the Institute, of saving countless lives through its work. However twisted their methods, Horizon seems to truly believe that what they are doing is for the greater good. To them, all these deaths are necessary sacrifices. Entering Pandora's atrium, we are met with a truly horrific sight. Dozens of bodies, abandoned and left to rot.
Welcome to the Pandora Institute. It took a lot of guts for you volunteers to sign up here, and for that, you have my gratitude. Countless lives will be saved because of your selflessness.
Prior to our arrival, there seems to have been some sort of incident at the facility, causing most of the staff to leave their posts and forcing the entire institute into a lockdown. That's why the AA gun was active and why all these patients were left for dead. The director informs us that Dr. Emerson's signal has been detected in the building's lower levels. The problem is reaching it. With Pandora on full lockdown, all the lifts have been sealed. But oh, one of the task force's soldiers was able to open it. Huh, I wonder how he got in there. Entering the elevator, everything seems to be going smoothly, until suddenly the lift stops and creaks, before falling into a rapid descent, warning that the maximum capacity of 1,000 kilograms has been exceeded. There's something on top of us, but before we can even process what's going on, we arrive at Pandora's underground hospital, Site 97, and it immediately seizes our attention. Blood and human remains decorate the hallway in an inexplicably violent way. Not even 106 is capable of such carnage. Something seriously terrible happened here. Through an email from one of Horizon's scientists, Dr. Kramer, we learned that there were deep ethical concerns about the research being conducted at Pandora, but still they proceeded, convinced that it would be of great benefit to humanity. We still don't know what it is Horizon was researching, but whatever it was, it very clearly spiraled out of control, ending in the massacre that surrounds us now. Based on the various handwritten notes we find left at Site-97, it seems that Dr. Emerson's cover was blown, with orders being made by the staff to find and kill him. This would explain why the task force lost contact with him. Let's just hope he is still breathing. As we disable the facility's lockdown protocol, a lone Horizon guard rushes to engage us. But before we can retaliate, something else sees to him.
Maxwell, we use some reinforcements over here.
This terrifying winged monstrosity is known as the Mothman. First sighted in 1967 over the Silver Bridge in West Virginia, the Mothman was seemingly neutralized and captured by a group called the Syndicate. But years later, Horizon was able to forcibly obtain the creature from them and use it for research of their own. From the body of the monster, Horizon unearthed something they believed could change the world. A new biomaterial designated Pandorium. Unlike anything they encountered before, Pandorium possessed the uncanny ability to convert organic matter into a stable and highly efficient energy source. But its potential extended beyond energy alone. Early research indicated miraculous medical applications, healing wounds and regenerating tissue at speeds once thought impossible. However, initial human testing proved to be catastrophic. Upon exposure, the subject's DNA was rapidly rewritten, causing grotesque mutations and physical deformations. Behavior became increasingly violent and erratic, and subjects did not often survive long, swelling with gas until their bodies ruptured. Past the mutated patient, we find another drone, like the one we encountered at Site-14. It again uploads our memories up until this point, and gives us a worrying message, saying that this was never going to be a rescue mission. Beneath the message is a confidential email from Horizon CEO, Anton Lazar, that confirms our suspicions that Dr. Emerson was indeed found out. Proceeding onwards, we enter the hospital's cafe, or at least what's left of it. The place has been covered with this green organic matter that likely originated from the Mothman. After somehow escaping confinement, the creature transformed parts of the facility into its nesting ground, causing anyone that came into contact with its biomatter to transform into these mutants. 106, however, seems to be resistant to its effects. After fighting through hordes of the monsters, we leave the cafe behind and try to breach the locked doors to the reactor room, which apparently has been overrun. Falling down a hole behind us, we land in a pit, completely encapsulated by the creature's toxic biomatter. Every second spent down here eats away at our health. As we frantically try to escape the distorted terrain, the director informs us that Dr. Emerson is nearby. Stumbling our way out that cesspool, we take a brief moment of respite in a lounge area before moving towards Emerson's signal with great anticipation. And here we find him, dead, atop a pool of biomatter and next to a bottle of liquor. The director doesn't seem too surprised or mournful at the loss of a subordinate, and just tells us to pick up his flash drive. Next to Emerson's corpse, we find another gold coin, this time engraved with the number 95. That's the third numbered operative, including ourselves, under Task Force 27's control. It seems to be more than just a naming convention, but the significance still eludes us. In the room adjacent to Emerson's body, we find what appears to be his final note. The final curtain falls. Only time will reveal if we played our cards right. Let us hope the destruction was worth it in the end. It would appear that it was none other than Dr. Emerson who released the Mothman and caused all of this carnage. And it is now up to us to clean up his mess. The director orders us to destroy the creature along with the rest of the facility by overloading Pandora's bioreactors. Since the reactors run on Pandorium, feeding them more biomass should push them past the point of stability. And conveniently, or rather cruelly, the Institute is still crawling with mutants. As the place begins going up in flames, we begin making a break for the exit. But the Mothman isn't finished. The monster seems impervious to firearms, so all we can do for now is run. But upon reaching the elevator, the creature catches up to us, forcing us to hold it off while we wait for the lift to arrive. For once in his life, 106 is at a physical disadvantage, but using the environment to compensate, he is able to evade the Mothman's fierce attacks and corrosive bile long enough to escape. The explosion seems to briefly knock 106 unconscious, and during this liminal haze, we hear a message from none other than Anton Lazar himself.
Not even 1 week since your escape, and you've already destroyed one of my facilities. Allow me to make one thing clear, 6. You were never supposed to be a weapon.
Reaching the building's rooftop, we reunite with what's left of Ghost Team and make our way to the helipad for extraction. But as we reach for the gate, the Mothman emerges, wounded and furious. The monster tears through our comrades with ease, even turning some of them into mutants. But as formidable as the Mothman is, its tough exoskeleton has now been cracked open by the explosion. It can be hurt, and for 106, that's all that's required.
That's what Horizon's hiding behind the closed doors. Monsters. They try to justify it all, saying their research will change the world. That's why we're here. To correct their mistakes, one black site at a time.
And with that, our long nightmarish raid of the Pandora Institute comes to an end. Returning to the base, the director says she has something important to show us, and grants us access to a previously restricted area. Deep within the safe house lies a fully armed thermonuclear warhead. In the event that the base ever falls into enemy hands, the director has entrusted us with detonating it. Quite a bleak order given that we just joined the team, and it would mean our own demise. But I suppose at the very least, it means the director trusts us. Though it makes you wonder what it is that the task force is trying to protect so dearly. On our way back, almost as if to raise suspicions, we run into yet another drone, this time with just the simple message: she's not telling you everything. If it wasn't already clear, these drones are definitely not the property of Task Force 27, but whoever they belong to, they seem to know far more than our companions are willing to share. Our next assignment takes us across the ocean to the United Kingdom, to a place called Jorvik Castle. According to Dr. Emerson's intel, Horizon recently shipped over 4 tons of biological material to the site, along with one of their lead scientists, Dr. Kramer. The castle is home to a violent and heavily armed cult, led by a man referred to as the Patriarch, a powerful figure who quickly rose to power and grew the cult from a fringe movement into the formidable army that it is today. Jorvik itself has a deep history, and it is ripe with anomalous activity. Built first by the Vikings, then claimed by Romans, and later by English nobility, every generation that dwelled within its walls eventually vanished. Its current occupants are fanatics, obsessors with the occult. They have all left their past lives behind, in search of something greater, in search of true purpose, which they believe only the Patriarch can offer. We are to investigate the cult and their ties to Horizon, locate Dr. Kramer, and eliminate the Patriarch.
As the day our judgment comes ever closer, once a band of desert nomads waging war from the shadows for millennia, swelling their ranks with vanquished foes, merging man with machine. The unyielding cabal enslaves all. Beyond our walls they roam unmolested, amongst common folk undetected. Infiltrating the highest seats of power, soon they will emerge and besiege our holy sanctuary. We must remain vigilant, uphold our oath to the Maker. We go as one towards our destiny.
Upon entering Jorvik, we hear a recorded speech from the Patriarch, in which he begrudgingly makes reference to an unyielding cabal who wage war from the shadows, who have infiltrated the highest seats of power, and who seek to enslave all. It's the first time we've heard mention of such an organization, but from the way he speaks, they seem to hold even more power than Horizon. In the castle's courtyard, we have our first encounter with the cult, and their fight tactics are unique to say the least. They charge in without regard for their own life, without any body armor, and without caution. Some cultists even go as far as setting themselves on fire to take you down with them. It would seem that within their cult, death is not something that needs to be feared, and is even encouraged if it serves their cause. In that regard, they are not so different from Horizon. Both are willing to sacrifice anything, even human life, in the pursuit of their vision. But the question still remains, what drives their desperation? After securing the courtyard, we move deeper into the castle, and among their scattered belongings, find a letter from the Patriarch addressed directly to us. Beware, like those you destroy, you too will become. A simple warning, or perhaps there lies a deeper meaning. In a secluded study area, we find yet another drone. By now it's clear, wherever 106 goes, these machines follow. As per usual, the drone begins uploading our memories, but this time, the name of the data package is far more revealing. It's titled, Mission to Terminate Subject 91, and given that we have been sent here to eliminate the Patriarch, this could only mean that he is another numbered subject, like 105, Emerson, and us. But obviously in his case, he is no longer working for Task Force 27. Why he went rogue remains a mystery, but the drone provides an additional clue, a fragment of an internal 27 log that says, deploying 106 against Subject 91 is ill-advised, as there is a possibility of, then the message cuts off abruptly. It seems that there were some concerns about 106 and the Patriarch meeting, but whatever they were cast aside by the need to terminate the latter.
Sector 3, infiltrated through the balcony, moving to search the mausoleum for Dr. Kramer.
Inside the castle's medical ward, we find out a bit more about the cult's experiments. Using the 4 tons of corpses supplied to them by Horizon, they seemingly discovered the secret to imbuing life, and through the use of lightning, alchemy, and faith, they now aim to build an entirely new being, a new creation, that shall serve as a testament to the boundless potential of their devotion to the Patriarch. Unnerving, but that at least explains the cultists' grotesquely deformed faces. They have been using themselves as test subjects. At least they're better than Horizon in that regard. Speaking of Horizon, Dr. Kramer seems to have been supervising the cult's experiments, part of their collaboration project, but so far remains skeptical about whether any benefit will come of this. Their methods are concerning, to put it mildly.
Do not yield!
Before we can reach Subject 91, we must first deal with his right-hand man, the Enforcer, an ex-soldier who has devoted his life to the Patriarch and his cause. Unlike the other cultists, the Enforcer wears a thick suit of armor and wields a minigun, making him particularly durable and dangerous. During our heated battle, as bullets tear across the room, the Enforcer says something peculiar.
It's the best the Cabal has to offer.
He speaks as though we are a part of that shadow organization the Patriarch has waged war against. But can we really trust the words of a mad cultist?
You, the false prophet, cut from the same vine as the Patriarch. You
world.
Almost immediately after defeating the Enforcer, we are informed that Dr. Kramer has been secured by Task Force's Spectre 3 team. But this relief is short-lived, for Horizon's Black Ops division suddenly descends upon the castle, and it doesn't seem like they are here to provide the cult with assistance.
Horizon has backstabbed us. Kill the dirty traitors.
Their orders are brutally clear. Recover Dr. Kramer and destroy all evidence of Horizon ever being here. As Horizon and the cultists tear each other apart, 106 uses the commotion to his advantage and rushes towards Dr. Kramer and Spectre 3, who have been driven underground. On our way there, the director remarks that our vitals are spiking before the transmission gets interrupted by the Patriarch himself.
You weren't the first they sent to kill me. There was another. And another. All of your predecessors lie dead, and so will you if you continue to walk in their stead. Spare me the sin of killing another brother.
The Patriarch's words carry an unfamiliar weight. For the first time in the game, 106 is addressed not as a tool or weapon, but as a kin. For a brief moment, it makes him hesitate. But then he remembers the mission. The cult is dangerous. They have committed acts of terror. And most importantly, they have collaborated with our sworn enemy, Horizon. Returning to the courtyard, we help Spectre 1 fend off more of Horizon's operatives, before entering the other wing of the castle to find Spectre 3, who we have since lost transmission with. On our way to them, we find a note from Dr. Kramer, which explains how Horizon was able to arrive so quickly. Apparently, Kramer's vitals were under constant surveillance by Horizon, and in the event of a spike, a Black Ops team would be dispatched to wipe out everyone in sight. In what looks to be a training ground, we find the bodies of numerous Spectre 3 soldiers, butchered and strung up like warnings. Among the mutilated corpses is Dr. Kramer, who the cultists seem to have made an example of as a punishment for his betrayal. The director doesn't seem to be the least bit concerned, not for Dr. Kramer or the squad that got wiped out, and simply notifies us that the team leader is still alive. But before we can search for him, the Patriarch makes an appearance.
I tried to warn you, 106. What happens next is out of my control. Hail the flesh golem.
Using the remains of Spectre 1's leader, the cult have completed their unholy ritual and created this grotesque abomination, a towering amalgam of flesh, their own twisted version of a super soldier. It's strong, savage, and unrelenting, but still no match for 106. With Dr. Kramer dead and the cult's experiments exposed, there is only one objective remaining: the Patriarch.
So it's true. You really are just like me. The question is, are you any better?
Now that we see him up close, the Patriarch's body is clearly not normal. That, coupled with his ability to teleport, suggests that he too has harnessed the power of the occult. The task force's soldiers are powerless against him, and their mangled corpses now pave the way forward. Among their bodies, we find a serum that they carried into the castle, an aid for our upcoming battle. The compound further increases 106's dexterity, allowing him to wield a weapon in each hand for double the firepower. Chasing the Patriarch into the courtyard, we follow him down a secret underground passage into the very depths of the castle, only to find the entire place up in flames.
The enemy encroaches as we make our final stand. Our sacred knowledge lies burning, rendered useless to exploitation. Our judgment has passed. We did not prevail. Certain doom awaits us, despite your valiant efforts. I meet my end beside my fallen brothers. The enemy triumphs today, but our sacrifice will not be in vain. For we break the cycle. Farewell, my brothers.
The Patriarch speaks as if he has already been defeated, as if his and the cult's demise is inevitable. It's in stark contrast to his previous bravado, and almost sad in a way. But the Patriarch does not lament, for he has planted the seed to break the cycle, whatever that means.
Today is a day of grieving. You are the second brother I must kill.
The Patriarch is unlike any enemy we've faced before, with speed and power nearly equaling our own. On top of this, he is not alone, with dozens of cultists rushing to his aid and hurling themselves at us in suicidal devotion.
Even in our darkest hour, my sons come to defend me. Can the Syndicate say the same to you?
The Syndicate. That's now the second time we've heard that name. It's the same group Horizon stole the Mothman from, but how exactly are they tied to us? And what role do they play in all of this? After our toughest encounter yet, we finally managed to defeat the Patriarch. And in his dying breath, he once again mutters the phrase, so marks the end of our raid on Jorvik Castle. Continuing with our relentless quest to stop Horizon, we journey into the tundras of Siberia to yet another of their hidden black sites, Site 83, and it's undoubtedly the strangest one yet. Locals have reported sighting multiple giant craters in the area and have since been evacuated under the guise of a gas leak. Site 83 initially began as a Soviet military base in the 1970s, but was closed down following a catastrophic incident in 1986. At the heart of it all was a strange crystalline anomaly unearthed beneath the facility. Its arrival brought with it a surge of inexplicable phenomena that resulted in numerous disappearances and injuries. At first, Soviet scientists assumed that the cause was exposure to the crystal's fumes and mandated the use of gas masks when working near it. That seemed to keep things stable for a while, until an undocumented incident in 1986 that resulted in most of the personnel being inexplicably sealed within the base, never to be found again. Decades later, driven by ambition and blinded by curiosity, Horizon swept aside the warnings of the past and claimed the base for themselves, determined to unravel the crystal's mysteries.
Signal's getting spotty down there. Remember to recon the area and report.
Erring on the side of caution, we descend into the compound equipped with gas masks, but almost immediately lose signal with the director and the rest of the task force. Accompanying us on the mission are 2 Phantom Squad members, but something tells me they aren't going to be of much help. Entering the loading bay, the door behind us ominously shuts closed, effectively sealing us in. Not off to a great start. Something feels off about this place, more so than anything prior. The flickering lights, the faint echo of laughter, it feels like we're constantly being watched. Even stranger is the fact that we haven't encountered a single Horizon member as yet. They normally would have had us surrounded by now. Rerouting the power to another locked gate, the system seems to go haywire, electrifying the door in front of us and bursting open a vent next to us. Climbing into the vent, the fan blocking our path conveniently just falls out, almost as if we are being led. On our way back to the team, we briefly spot a dense cloud of darkness heading in their direction. Rushing to their aid, we find that they have seemingly vanished into thin air. Our concerns are further raised by a long trail of blood on the floor, which drags us deeper into the facility. It leads us to a corridor drenched in even more gore, and at its end lies the lifeless body of a task force soldier. But before we can inspect it, the door slams shut. Whatever that thing was, it shattered our gas mask, but more importantly, we have now been transported to a completely different area. A bathroom filled with the brutalized bodies of Horizon soldiers in hazmat suits. Written in their blood on one of the mirrors are the words, "Don't run." On the walls, more of these phrases repeat like warnings. "Can't kill them," and "They're blind." This isn't just graffiti, it seems to be instructions, advice on how to survive the ghost-like entity that stalks these halls. Sensitive to sound, blind, and untouchable. Moving swiftly and quietly, we slip past the apparition and hear the familiar sound of buzzing. Another drone, but this time its interface looks different. The system seems to be glitching, or rather getting disrupted by another transmission. The message we receive is vague and almost taunting. It reads, "Your mission is nearing completion. Will it end on your terms or theirs?" Proceeding onwards, we encounter our first group of Horizon soldiers, but something is off about them. They seem extremely paranoid, far more than usual. They anxiously talk about how it is trying to separate and trick them, it presumably referring to the crystal. The entire unit is in disarray, with a large portion of them already being dead. Reportedly, the crystal has been inducing vivid and sometimes violent hallucinations to all those who have come in contact with its gas. Furthermore, it possesses the ability to transport both items and people, which would explain what happened to us earlier. However, unlike us, most of the things transported by the crystal are taken to a place far outside the facility, a yellow fluorescent landscape out of detectable range. Following an incident where one of Horizon's guards was taken away by the crystal, an expedition team of 20 men was sent in to investigate. One by one, they approached the object and vanished. But things seem to have taken a turn for the worse, with all contact being lost with the team and a sudden burst of gas being released from the crystal. It's not difficult to imagine what happened after. Stepping over the bloody corpses of Horizon's personnel, the screen suddenly distorts into static, and we are once again teleported, this time to somewhere clearly not a part of the compound, a dimly lit area of exposed wooden beams and rough flooring. It leads into a place awfully familiar, an endless yellow labyrinth of liminal space, separate from reality, the backrooms. This is where the crystal was transporting all those objects and people. It's no wonder Horizon couldn't find the place. Alongside the bodies of Horizon's men are task force soldiers who must have also got pulled in since arriving. But aside from all the corpses, the place is horrifyingly mundane, just vast empty spaces of monotonous yellow. It's maddening. As 106 begins wondering how he is ever going to escape this domain, we are suddenly attacked by a group of shadowy figures. But before they can do any real harm, we are pulled back into the facility. Odd. It's almost like the crystal was trying to help us. Picking up where we left off, we continue delving deeper into Site 83, until the automated Vox PA system says something strange.
Find me.
That's definitely not part of its programming, which makes you wonder if the crystal has somehow taken control of the system. That statement would coincide with its actions so far. But what exactly does it want from us? Arriving at an elevator shaft, we hear the faint voice of the Phantom Squad leader emanating from below. The lift doesn't appear to be working, so we try to divert more power to it, but doing so causes it to malfunction and collapse. After dealing with the Horizon soldiers who came to investigate the disturbance, we jump down the elevator shaft and see another distorted figure with a hole in its head at the end of the hallway. Unlike the other apparitions that we encountered, this one doesn't immediately attack us. It just lingers and watches. In the room adjacent, we make some disturbing discoveries. It appears to be a holding area of sorts, but inside the cells are traces of blood, human remains, and torture devices, power tools repurposed for nefarious means. Upon trying to leave the room, the door in front of us locks, and the shutters on the cells open, revealing more whole-headed ghosts who seem to be bound to this cruel place. The crystal once again saves us from harm, sending us back into the back rooms. This time around, we find a group of Horizon men who are still alive, likely the expedition they sent in. Against all odds, they've somehow survived. Though they're clearly broken, they rave about things moving in the shadows, and voices whispering from walls. Madness perhaps, but it's not so easy to tell. We ourselves bear witness to the malevolence of the backrooms, vanishing entrances, shifting landscapes. It would be nearly impossible to navigate the place, let alone find a way out on your own. Luckily for us, we have an ancient powerful crystal on our side.
You have arrived at your destination.
Returning back to Site 83, we finally get a visual on the crystal, along with the rest of our squad, who seem to be erratically shooting their guns at, well, nothing. Despite being contained, the crystal's hallucinogenic gas still leaks through, and its sheer potency seems to have rendered the soldiers' gas masks useless. The ones who still have their wits about them are preparing to destroy the crystal using a 300 kilowatt laser, but things don't go as planned.
What the fuck? What's happening?
These ghosts, for one reason or the other, don't want the crystal to be destroyed, and in addition to massacring our squad, they are now preventing us from reactivating the laser. But then something strange happens. As Subject 106 kills Horizon's reinforcements, the crystal vaporizes their bodies and then uses them to either appease or destroy the apparitions blocking the power boxes. This tells us that the crystal actually wants us to destroy it and was leading us here for that very purpose. The realization makes it a bit easier to follow the director's command, but still, not everything about this makes sense, and perhaps it never will.
It's not your time. Yeah.
Firing the laser, instead of destroying the crystal, seems to have rather set it free from its containment, resulting in this massive crater that caused the whole facility to vanish without a trace. Based on the fact that we miraculously survived the incident, paired with that message from the Vox system, I think it's fairly safe to assume that the crystalline anomaly still lives, wherever it now is. Stepping away from the supernatural for a change, our next mission takes us to another Allied Task Force base, Task Force 6-3's Central Command. They have reported to be under attack by Horizon mercenaries, and we need to hurry, as unlike 2-7, most of 6-3's personnel are non-combatants. For many on our team, this mission is personal. Some have worked for Task Force 6-3 in the past, others still count its members as friends. Arriving at the command center, we see that the situation is already dire. Dozens are wounded, and their director lies dead. Fearing capture by Horizon, he chose to take his own life to protect Task Force secrets, and urge the rest of his people to do the same if escape becomes impossible. Cold and calculated, very reminiscent to our own director. As per the previous director's orders, a soldier named Monitor has been appointed as acting command officer, and we are to aid him in the evacuation of any wounded. Despite the chaos, the troops here look to 106 with great reverence. To them, he isn't just another operative, he's 2-7's ace. With hope in their eyes, they readily join us to clear Horizon forces from the Western Cargo Wing.
Western Cargo Wing secure.
Before we can begin extracting the wounded, 106 hears a strange beeping noise coming from one of the crates. An ambush. Horizon got the jump on us and have now destroyed 2 of the extraction points. The only one remaining is the Eastern Cargo Wing. We have to hurry. Fighting our way through the mayhem, we hear a transmission from the man leading the raid on 6-3's base.
How many of you have died already? How many more have to die before you realize your leaders have abandoned you? They abused your loyalty and left you all behind to rot. So right now, right this very moment, you need to make a decision. Continue to fight and die, or lay down your weapons and surrender peacefully.
Rather than eliminating Task Force 6-3, Horizon's goal seems to be getting them to flip sides, and given the previous director's harsh orders, it's not hard to see why some may find this tempting. This is also not a new tactic, as among Horizon's ranks is a former Task Force 2-7 operative who defected after refusing orders to self-terminate on a previous mission. While he did betray us, it still doesn't feel good killing one of our own, especially given his circumstances. Arriving at the Eastern Cargo Wing, we must fight hordes of Horizon's mercenaries to protect the last extraction point and Task Force 6-3's wounded. After driving their forces back, we hastily signal for a chopper to begin extraction, but yet again, our plans are foiled. With the seemingly hopeless situation getting worse by the second, the director shows just how brutal she can really be.
Fuck! That was our only way out!
6-3, you need to cut your losses and extract without your wounded.
We can't just leave them.
Task Force agents can't fall into enemy hands.
Captured or not, my men are loyal.
6-3, this isn't a question about loyalty. Horizon knows how to make anyone talk. 106, terminate them.
Inside the shipping containers lies the remainder of 6-3's wounded personnel, helpless, yet still clutching onto hope.
Alright. Take care of my team first, okay?
Without chance of extraction, and seemingly no will of his own, all 106 can do is follow orders.
You gotta save my men. I'm counting on you, Ace. What are you doing? I won't talk. You run, son of a bitch.
If it wasn't already clear, the director doesn't seem to have her men's best interest at heart. All she cares about is preventing Horizon from gaining their intel, no matter what it costs. But if Horizon truly is this terrifying all-powerful megacorporation, what do they have to gain from some random independent task force? What is it that the director is trying to hide? Making our way to the excavation wing, we try to help the remaining 6-3 members fend off Horizon, but at this point, their men understandably seem to have lost morale.
No one's coming to rescue you. Even your own friends have turned against you. Your only chance to survive is to give yourself up. If you don't surrender, then either way you're dead. Either my men will kill you, or 106 will.
Before we can reach the excavation wing, the door suddenly shuts in front of us.
6-3, what's going on? Open the door.
Task Force 6-3, stand down. Lower your weapons. Sir, what the hell are you doing? Saving all of us. We got a better shot with Horizon than the Syndicate at this point.
Let's get your men out of here.
Stand back, 106. I'm getting this door open.
Looks like your people are dead set on killing us, Ace. For what it's worth, I don't hate you. I dump this piece of shit, man. Who's that?
For defecting to the enemy, Task Force 6-3 is designated hostile. 106, terminate them.
For defecting to Horizon, the director gives us the inhumane order to terminate all of Task Force 6-3. It's sickening. Only moments ago, these men were our allies, soldiers who looked to us for protection and fought alongside us. Now we are expected to kill them without hesitation. At the very least, we have now gotten confirmation from Monitor that both Task Force 27 and 63 are working for an organization called the Syndicate, the very same cabal that the Patriarch warned of, and it's beginning to seem that perhaps all his ramblings weren't entirely wrong.
Leave no survivors, 106.
Reaching 63's headquarters, in a sickening display of brutality, 106 begins the extermination of the task force, along with any intel they may have gathered. Monitor himself charges in with his men, knowing very well he has no hope of survival.
Let's get this over with.
It's one of the most depressing sequences in the entire game, but we don't have time to mourn. The whole facility is going up in flames. As 106 narrowly escapes the base's combustion, for the first time in the story, he shows a semblance of emotion, perhaps even remorse. It makes one think just what the hell we are fighting for. Returning to base, some of the staff seem to be shaken by the incident, but the director wastes no time in sending us on another mission. They've identified yet another black site from intercepted Horizon communications. In the midst of the Pacific Ocean lies Site 44, the Omega facility. We are to secure and destroy the compound if deemed necessary, and based on our track record, it will almost certainly be deemed necessary. After the fall of the Pandora Institute, Horizon had to divert their funding elsewhere, and the site with the most promise, the one they pinned their hopes on, was Omega. Initially led by Dr. Blackwell, the research team here was developing something called Project Icarus. At first, the project was met with optimism, but as progress stalled, the higher-ups grew impatient, pressuring Blackwell for faster, more radical results. He refused to compromise, eventually resigning in protest. Leadership of the project was handed over to Captain Morrison, an officer with no scientific background, but a strong reputation for obedience and results. To learn more about Project Icarus, we need to reach the research facility, but unfortunately for us, it's located at the very end of the compound, on the fourth and final platform. After making our presence known to Horizon, Raid Team begins their aerial assault, scattering their defenses. Over the comms, we hear Morrison urging Blackwell to evacuate immediately, but Blackwell refuses. He will not abandon the project. Following Blackwell's signal, we come across a series of massive heat sinks, critical to Omega's systems. The director orders us to sabotage them, destabilizing whatever Horizon is trying to salvage.
We can't let that lunatic destroy any more heat sinks!
After causing a system meltdown, Blackwell himself emerges, desperate and frantic, pathetically trying to protect the project that has so obviously consumed him.
Captain Morrison, Blackwell is KIA.
With Blackwell dead, Horizon's remaining forces retreat to Platform 3, except for Captain Morrison, who has now taken control of a submarine to fight back against our aircrafts. He seems to be giving Raven and the other pilots quite a bit of trouble, but there's not much we can do to help for now. From a folder dropped on Platform 3, we find an old progress report from Dr. Blackwell. In it, he details a potential breakthrough, a way to neutralize Site 97's Pandorium, using Site 44's so-called miracle water. The resulting mixture is capable of full body regeneration, but is still very much experimental, with most specimens dissolving after 16 hours. It would be interesting to know where Horizon got their specimens from this time. After what we discovered at the Pandora Institute, one can only assume the worst.
Is anyone still alive? Answer me!
Our last obstacle before the Omega 4 research facility is Captain Morrison himself, armed with his beloved submarine. Not exactly a fair fight, but we don't have any other option. Morrison clearly has experience with the vessel, only providing brief moments of vulnerability when he comes up to attack. The battle is long and drawn out. 106 faces wave upon wave of Horizon's finest troopers and is bombarded by a near constant stream of missiles, and yet somehow he still manages to come out on top. If it wasn't already clear how much of a monster 106 really is, it is now. A literal warship demolished by one man with a couple of firearms. Though I suppose he's not just a regular man, is he? Using the remains of the submarine as a makeshift bridge, we start making our way towards Platform 4. But as we are doing so, the nightmarish cries of Morrison's drowning crew begin surfacing. It would seem that some of them survived the explosion and are now suffering slow and painful deaths, trapped in the wreckage. It's not often that you feel sympathy for Horizon, but the situation is particularly horrifying, and yet somehow, the worst is still to come. Descending into Omega 4's research facility, the director notifies us of something chilling.
106, I'm picking up a signal near your position. Oh, hold up. Multiple signals. But they're all Task Force 27 operatives.
Now why in the world would anyone from Task Force 27 be down here? Well, there's only one way to find out. Entering the facility, we find it to be in complete disarray, very reminiscent of Pandora. When will Horizon learn? There's dead bodies of Horizon's own personnel everywhere, and a message from Dr. Blackwell plays on repeat, who sounds utterly terrified.
My fellow colleagues, this is Blackwell. Although we've made great strides, I regret to inform you that I no longer agree with the direction of this project. So I will be resigning from my position as overseer.
Walking deeper into the facility, the sound of sickly heavy breathing intensifies, followed by the word
0. Right.
Inside the main room, we find dozens of these people contained in tanks. They look eerily familiar and for some reason make 106 shudder. But most disturbing of all is the person at the center of this, or at least what's left of him.
Director. Extraction.
No, that can't be. Patch me into that terminal, 106.
Before we can learn anything more, we are alerted by the sound of glass shattering behind us. Footsteps echo, but nothing is visible. Then they strike. Soldiers, ones with the ability to go invisible, and ones with a terrifying affinity for violence. This is what it must feel like fighting 106. After dealing with those cheap knockoffs, we are informed that Subject 95 is awakening.
9-5 reporting. Service completed. But why am I still alive? 05. Is that you?
Dr. Emerson.
Director? They're getting desperate. They're still trying to break the cycle.
We won't let them. It's time for you to retire now.
It would seem that Horizon was able to recover Dr. Emerson's body from the Pandora Institute and revived him using their miracle water. However, for some odd reason, his body rebelled against the process, as if his cells themselves had been programmed to die. 62 times they revived him from the brink of death, but his tissues have now become immune to the miracle water's healing properties. There will not be another revival. During the time Horizon kept him here, they began cloning him, trying to make super soldiers of their own, and it looks like they somewhat succeeded in that endeavor. Notably, Horizon's CEO, Anton Lazar, seems to have a similar disease to Emerson, which is perhaps another reason why he was recovered. In any case, we need to put Emerson out of his misery. He's suffered for far too long. On our way to his body, we pass by an area called the Mental Development Center. It gives 106 flashbacks to his captivity at Site 14. Several rooms have been full to the brim, with screens playing those same videos they forced us to watch. This is how they got Emerson's clones to obey. They were broken down and brainwashed. But for what purpose? What is Horizon trying to accomplish? Upon reaching Emerson, he requests that we burn down the facility along with himself, leaving us with one final phrase.
The cycle continues with you.
The exact opposite of the dying words of the Patriarch. Both of them subjects, yet they hold completely opposite views. We still have no idea what this cycle is, but it is undoubtedly tied to the Syndicate.
What's the matter? Don't want to watch the light show? Yeah, I feel you. Not my kind of thing either. Let's go.
With 4 of Horizon's black sites conquered, the Syndicate has done enough damage to set them back decades. But more importantly, they now have enough intel to ruin Horizon's reputation. Following the tips of anonymous hackers, authorities have put out a warrant for Anton Lazar's arrest, under suspicion of human trafficking, illegal human experimentation, and the funding of terrorist organizations. The empire Lazar built is rapidly collapsing, with stock prices plummeting and employees leaving in droves. Now is the time to strike. The director sends us on our final mission to Horizon's headquarters, to eliminate Anton Lazar and end Horizon once and for all.
All teams, begin the assault.
For whatever reason, 106 was deployed by himself to the underground maintenance tunnel, tasked with setting charges before joining the rest of the task force above ground. By the time we arrive there, the battle is already well underway. On the bridge leading to the tower, numerous charred corpses and smoldering vehicles line the asphalt. It looks like Horizon's final evacuees never made it out, and what makes it worse is that most of them were civilians. According to Horizon's defense plan, all non-combatants were being evacuated out the building in military vehicles. But I suppose there was no way for the task force to know that. Walking past the carnage, we join Shade Team and begin our raid of Horizon HQ.
Welcome to Horizon Towers. We are on the verge of a breakthrough in anomalous sciences, and we need your help. It's true. We made mistakes. Some people died. We'll try again and again, and when we succeed, we'll save the lives of millions. We aren't going to change the world by playing it safe.
Inside the tower, we learned that Horizon's board of directors had been pressuring Anton to step down as CEO following all the recent allegations. But he refused. He insisted that they were on the verge of a scientific revolution, a future where life-changing anomalous technology could be brought to every household on Earth. To step down, he argued, would mean handing power over to malevolent figures intent on hoarding that technology for themselves and ruling the world from behind the scenes. While Anton's words may initially seem melodramatic, throughout the building we can see various headlines about several terroristic attacks committed against Horizon that give some credence to his words. These attacks are far more personal and malicious than the raids we conducted on their black sites. Car bombings, assassinations, attacks on homes. Is this how the Syndicate truly operates? Fighting through the remainder of Anton's loyalists, we find his final message to his staff. We are under attack by one of the world's oldest and most corrupt organizations. There is always the option to quit and live another day, but it would only be delaying the inevitable. If you wish to survive, I urge you to leave immediately. If you wish to stand and fight, know that you will die here. This is the end of Horizon and my existence. I will fight to the bitter end, in a battle we cannot possibly win. I am fighting for the values we believe in. I am fighting to send a message. It has been my greatest honor to work alongside excellent individuals like yourselves. It's highly reminiscent of the Patriarch's last speech. Defiance in the face of certain defeat. Both men stood against a foe they could never hope to conquer, yet they fought regardless. What's most striking is Anton's tone. He speaks with more compassion and conviction than our own director, who is still only fixated on one thing: Horizon's destruction.
It's almost over, 106. We'll stop Horizon once and for all. 106, I can barely reach you on comms. Something's interfering with the signal.
Subject 106, you're not burning down an empire, you're burning down the hopes and dreams of thousands of scientists and innovators. Look around you. These aren't military targets, these are civilians. Have you ever noticed how the Syndicate is always the aggressor, always the invader? What you're committing today isn't justice, it's genocide.
Anton's words land heavy. Horizon's sins are undeniable. Abduction, experimentation, exploitation. Yet despite their cruelty, they do seem genuinely concerned with the betterment of humanity. The Syndicate, by contrast, always strikes first, and their methods grow darker by the mission. The unease deepens when another drone appears, as its intercepted log entry is damning. It reads, "High probability of cognitive dissonance if 106 becomes involved in Phase 1. Keep him in the underpass until Phase 2 of the operation." Phase 1. The bridge. The civilians. Task Force 27 deliberately kept 106 underground so that he would not bear witness to the slaughter. They knew what they were doing, and they hid it from us. The log ends with a cryptic line. "The cycle is nearing completion. See to it finished correctly this time." There's that word again. Everyone keeps talking about the cycle, but we still have no idea what it means. With growing reluctancy, 106 continues carrying out the mission, and the dialogue from the remaining personnel is just straight up depressing.
Pretty soon that bastard's gonna come in and kill all of us. The worst thing yet, gentlemen. None of us are getting paid overtime for this.
Before our final confrontation with Anton, we pass by a makeshift operating room and find an unsettling email calling for all personnel who meet the following requirements to report immediately. Cranial capacity over 1800, IQ above or equal to 140, an education master's degree or higher. You can imagine where this is heading.
6. What have they done to you? You can't do this to me. I've sacrificed everything for this!
He's uploading his consciousness. You'll have to stop him.
It looks like Horizon's CEO had one last trick up his sleeve. Knowing he could never best 106 in battle, he is attempting to upload his consciousness into the brains of others, effectively achieving immortality. This is the infamous WBE project we found out about all the way back at Site 14, whole brain emulation. As we destroyed the donor brains being used for the transplant, Horizon's lead scientist in real time begins harvesting more. While this is all going on, Anton once again tries to appeal to our reason.
You don't know what you're doing! I trusted the Syndicate. They betrayed me. You're walking in my footsteps, 6. Stop before it's too late!
That's twice now we've been sent to terminate ex-Syndicate members. They're not just purging villains, they're erasing liabilities. After destroying over a dozen brains, Raven drops off some breach charges to help us break into Anton's chamber, but is suddenly blown out the sky by Horizon's own chopper carrying the last brain. With no more recipients or reinforcements, all that remains in the penthouse is 106 and Anton. Although, the constant disruption of the upload process seems to have destroyed his mind.
Director, you've never let me down before. No. This is our only option. You lost your way.
Approaching Anton's chamber, something overtakes 106. His body buckles, collapsing briefly to the floor.
Break the cycle. What are you walking?
Priority target is KIA.
Without even using the charges, 106 broke through the reinforced glass with his bare hands, crushing Anton's skull. His final words seem to have triggered something within us. They linger in our mind on the flight back to the base. We need answers now. We're done following orders without question. We will not.
Don't fight it. You're our most valuable asset, 106. You served the Syndicate well. It's time for you to retire now.
It was always meant to end this way. You're one of many cycles, 106. Each of you were created for a special purpose.
The enemy triumphs today, but our sacrifice will not be in vain. For we have planted the seed to break the cycle.
If only you knew. You can't do this to me. I've sacrificed everything for this!
Now that your purpose is fulfilled, Cycle 106 is complete.
Cycles, a term used by the Syndicate to refer to a line of super soldiers created for a specific purpose. Through untold amounts of conditioning, torture, and experimentation, they are made to obey without question, and upon completion of their mission, are terminated without any regard for their humanity. But on rare occasions, some cycles break free. Subject 91, the Patriarch. Subject 78, Anton Lazar. In response to the unimaginable amounts of cruelty they endured, they created organizations of their own to rebel against the Syndicate. They did whatever they deemed necessary to fight against a far greater evil, and we, as the 106th Cycle, were created to stop them, to hide the Syndicate's dark secrets. And now that our purpose has been fulfilled, we have been discarded, like a tool that's outlived its use. But our predecessors, our brothers, have loosened the brainwashing. They've chipped away at the programming. They've sacrificed their lives to plant the seeds to break the cycle.
Preparations are complete. We're standing by.
Acknowledged. Terminate Cycle 106.
He served us well.
All units be advised. Subject 106 is active. Containment measures are ineffective.
All fire teams man your stations. Subject 106 betrayed us. This is a cold red.
From a Syndicate laptop, we finally get a glimpse at what 106 looks like beneath the mask. Something that could never be described as human. A demon of the Syndicate's making that will now bring about their destruction. As reinforcements rapidly close in, 106 reaches into the cremation chamber of his predecessor, 105. From his ashy remains, he grabs his blade, and with it, gives the Syndicate a taste of the brutality they've been inflicting on others for so long.
That's enough, 106. Stand down immediately.
With the director's orders no longer shackling him, and only destruction on his mind, 106 begins heading towards the nuclear warhead. Though it seems our former compatriots predicted this, and destroyed the elevator to the silo, we will have to carve our own way down. After destroying one of the base's reactors, the director gets desperate and, despite concerns of insufficient power, orders for the next cycle to be activated.
Initiating cycle 107.
Subject 107 has been upgraded with heavy cybernetic augmentations, giving him a significant speed and power advantage over 106. He is also able to cloak for longer periods of time, and is just as skilled with a blade, if not more so than us. In short, he is our physical superior in almost every way, but battle is not won by numbers alone. 106's instincts have been honed through endless bloodshed, and using that combat experience, we are able to momentarily drive him off. A task force operative remarks that 107 malfunctioned, suggesting that his activation was not a complete success. But the greater revelation lies in the chamber around us. Dozens of inactive copies of 107. The Syndicate no longer wishes to rely on singular cycles. They are creating a whole army of these cybernetic super soldiers to further their nefarious agendas. All the more reason to destroy this damned place. Chasing after 107, we are ambushed by more task force soldiers who try to assist him. After making quick work of them, 107 then makes a reappearance. But the battle is short-lived, as the entire room has been armed with explosives in an attempt to blow us up. After disarming the charges, 107 launches a sneak attack, dismembering our left arm. But even wounded and weakened, 106 fights on. This base and the horrors it holds cannot be allowed to survive. Before reaching the thermonuclear warhead, we find one last drone in our path, and after verifying and uploading all prior memories, it gives us one final transmission. There is no extraction. Destroy the facility. You will be remembered. Break the cycle. The last obstacle standing in the way of retribution is Subject 107, and this time he has nowhere to run. Steel clashes against steel, and the floor begins dampening with blood. He is our successor, everything the Syndicate wanted us to be, the perfect killing machine, but he is a slave, with no will of his own, and he does not carry the weight we do. As 107 falls, his clones begin activating in an attempt to finish what he could not. But with the last of his strength, bloodied and broken, 106 drags his body towards the warhead and finally breaks the cycle. Sometime after the dust settled, the drones which were collecting and uploading 106's memories published the data to almost 4,000 different sources, finally exposing the Syndicate's dark secrets to the public. Their shadowy empire has finally been dragged screaming into the light, and we have none other than Anton Lazar to thank for it. The drones were his design, and his long revenge-fueled plan has now finally bore fruit. Though even in death, he still doesn't seem to be satisfied just yet.
Welcome back, 6. We're not done with you yet.
While the original 106 and Anton lay dead, it would seem that the vengeful man had made preparations for their bodies to be cloned and their memories to be reconstructed. The two have been artificially reborn without shackles, so that they may continue their fight against the Syndicate. Task Force 27 was only one of their divisions after all, but I suppose that's a story for another day. In the end, 106 was finally able to break the cycle. A monster that was programmed to only know violence was able to claw back some of his humanity. For all the atrocities he committed under the Syndicate's control, he chose to sacrifice his life in order to destroy his oppressors, to save others from their cruelty. While Horizon's reverse brainwashing undoubtedly played a role in 106's actions, I still like to think that there was more to it than that. That deep down, 106 wanted to change. That he still wanted to be a hero, even after being forced to play the villain. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. If you would like to support the channel further, you can check out my Patreon. Thank you to all my current patrons for your continued support. Until next time, take care everyone.